Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Big Sky Hobby Corner. I tried shooting yesterday, but I've been sick for the last few weeks and it has really been kicking my butt. I actually tried to record an episode yesterday and it was not working out in my favor. I do feel a little bit better today, so we're going to attempt it again. We're going to cover some hinging. Now, I went through the painstaking process yesterday, getting most everything hinged. I'm not going to bore you with 4 hours of me hanging hinges, but I did save one aileron to show you what to look for, because it is actually the trickiest surface to hinge, because there are things that have to be in right places, and if they're not, things won't work out for you. And then we'll go over what I did yesterday to the PT20 to hinge the rest of the surfaces. So let me reset the camera and we'll be right back. Okay, here we are. We got the wing to our PT20. Now, like I said, I hung one hinge yesterday, hung one aileron yesterday. We have that right here, okay? And now we're going to do the other side. Now, the reason we have to be so careful on this, we have to watch out for our wing ribs whenever we cut the hinges, okay? And the hinges that we're going to use, oh, the PT40 giveaway. Be sure to pay attention. We're going to use a CA hinge. See the CA hinge for our mystery word? We have to cut slots out. Okay, you can set it down now, buddy. And what we're going to do, typically we run 4 hinges. And what I'll do, I'll kind of push in on our monocoat, find where the center of an aileron bay is. And I'll take my hobby knife, put it right in the center on our trailing edge. Make sure your blade's tight. And then poke it. You go ahead and put that stuff in that box if you would, please. Make sure your line's straight. Poke it straight in and then pull out like so. And then just to make sure we're wide enough, and it doesn't hurt to be a little extra wide, just go to the other side. Not the complete length of the bay, but you want to make sure you're wide enough for your hinge. Like so. And just kind of give it a little test fit. You can get one that you can trash, because you will ruin your hinge just for test fitting. And then we'll get some good ones. So see, that went in there really nice. I'll show you. So there's our slot with our hinge sitting in it. Right. Shouldn't have given a kid a chocolate bar and a Red Bull before bedtime.
Whatever.
But what we want to do, we want to repeat that process 4 times across our ailerons. So what I'll do, I'll skip a bay, and then cut another slot. And please bear with me with this new setup. I'm actually using a webcam setup with a Yeti microphone instead of having my cell phone rubber banded to a stick. What I did last season. So I'm kind of learning as we're going here. When we start our next build on the SIG 4-Star 40, you'll see where that'll come in a little more handy. So we cut another slot, we'll skip a bay. And we'll slot again. Make sure you get them straight, because if you don't, it makes it a real pain in the butt. I didn't get that one perfect, but we can make it work. What I want to do here, I want to put one out towards the end. So we're actually going to skip 2 bays and put it towards the inside. Like so. Making sure all the while that we are wide enough for our CA hinge. And you're thinking, well, what's a CA hinge? What's a CA hinge for? What's its design? What's it made of? See, that one's not going to work too well. So we're going to recut this one. And we'll check that last one. Since this one's trashed, I'll show you. Really, well, all it is, it's like a cotton sheet on a piece of plastic. And the way it works, a little closer to you guys. Let's see, I'm watching you on the monitor over here. This is, like I say, this is all new to me. You have like a cotton or a synthetic fiber that is applied to a clear plastic. See, we can peel that off. Like so. There's our cotton. And there's our cotton right here. It's on both sides. And if you can see it, there is the plastic piece that it's attached to. Now this actually acts as the hinge. And then when we apply our CA, it wicks through the cotton. You can put a drop of CA on here and it'll fill the whole thing. It takes about 5 drops per side to do so, but that gives us good adheration in and out. Okay, now it's time. Bear with me, I'm still ill. To apply the same slots to our aileron as we did in the wing. Now what we'll do, we've got our bag of hinges here. We'll take the ones that we'll actually use. These things come like 24 to a bag, so if we hurt one, it's no big deal. We'll put a hinge in. Each slot, you want to go about halfway. See, I just did what you don't want to do. We just folded a hinge. So that slot needs a little bit of work. Get that seated. Because once you fold that hinge, it will never come back straight again. So you just as well replace it at that point. But again, this is just for marking purposes at this point. So we'll get them suckers set in there. And now this is a really important part. We're going to get some tape. Just get 2 pieces. We're going to temporarily attach our aileron to this. Now see, when we made our aileron, you remember we drilled a hole in a slot for our strip aileron hinge at this point. Now I'm just going to set that in here. I'm not going to apply anything, but we want to get our aileron centered to where it's not going to interfere, you know, because you can, set it wrong, and then your aileron's not going to function properly. You got to cut it out, trim some stuff down, rehinge, and it's a real pain in the butt, but it can be fixed. It's just better to avoid it altogether. Now I have our aileron hinged or taped into place, and our hinges are on the outside of our control surface right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do on the inside, I'm going to go just a little bit wider than our hinge and mark where each one is. I'm just using a pencil because it wipes off real easy. About like so, and we're going to use the same method as we slotted our wing to slot our aileron. Okay, we can set our wing off to the side. You can go ahead and leave the hinges in there at this point. That's absolutely fine. Let's see if this will, you can see where we marked it. And we want to cut our slots right on the peak of where we put the taper on our ailerons. Man, bear with me, folks. Alright. Making sure our knife is straight, right in the center. Start at one mark. poke it in. And pry out. And always coming back, making sure your knife is tight, your blade is tight in there, because it will come out on you. Not that big of a deal. It's just, you gotta be careful when you pull it out of the aileron. Poke it in, going the opposite way. There you go. Now they make a really cool tool to help with this. It's called a hinge slaughter. It's actually a machine that works like an electric fillet knife. It's got a set of blades that work with one another like an electric fillet knife. You just zip it in. I'm not fortunate enough to have one of those, so this is how I slot my hinges. I think you can get them at Tower Hobbies for, they're like $50, the slot machine. Okay. Whoops. See, that one didn't come out very straight. That's okay, because I can attack it from the other side. And pull up. And as you go, you'll get better at this, you know, because it is, nobody can really do this overnight, you know. But it gets easier and better as you do it. You learn what to look for. And that's kind of why I'm here, is to try to help show you what to look for, the best of my ability. I'm probably not the best teacher around, especially in the ill state that I'm in. See, we peeled and bent that hinge. Excuse me, no biggie. What we're going to do, we're going to take our hinges and put them in the aileron first, and we're going to attach the aileron to the wing. And the reason being, our aileron actually is actually going to act as a stop for our hinge. Because our trailing edge goes into an empty wing bay, and we can actually push our aileron back into, or our hinge back into, I want to redo that. Back into the wing itself, and it won't do any good. We just won't have a hinge there. So we'll always insert this, or hinges, into the aileron itself. That way we ensure that we have enough poking out where we need to be poking out. What do you think, Ryan?
What?
About our PT20 build here.
Cool, but there's a bee over there.
There's a bee over there?
Should I smush it with my Lego flash swatter?
Yeah, go kill it with your Lego flash swatter. Tell you what, that kid, he's a champ. If it has something to do with flying, he's involved with it. He is tucked like has been ever since he's been able to walk. Okay, now we're going to, let's see if I can get everything in frame here. We have our strip aileron control horn right here, okay? And then make sure we have our hole and our slot that we cut ready to go. And that's where I'm going to start. Get that all lined up. And then I'm going to hold it at an angle, my aileron, at an angle. And I'm going to start with that hinge. And just kind of work back and forth, gently pressing. You can get carried away and you fold that hinge. And what happens if we fold that hinge? We have to pull it out and start over. Because then it won't be any good. You're going to just work down This is usually where I screw up right here and we have to rehinge everything again. Just kind of back and forth motion, best you can, a little bit of down pressure, and eventually everything goes. A little bit of patience goes a long way. Firm, but gentle. And then, boom, we have an aileron. All right. Now the really important part, you cannot forget to do this. That's going to be kind of hard for me to do. You flex your aileron all the way down to the down position. And then take your thin CA. Make sure you use thin. Don't use medium, don't use thick, use thin, because it depends on that real thin action to get into that cotton that I showed you and wick out into everything. I think I discussed this with you guys when I was building the SIG riser. We use the same kind of hinges, and I'm going to put 4 drops on each hinge. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got the B?
Yep.
All right, good job.
I just smashed his head with the black part.
He smashed his head with the black part, so we no longer have a B in the studio. Awesome. Good job.
I just went
3, 4. And then our last on the top side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to let that set just a second because it is fast CA. And then I'm going to flex the aileron the other way, the whole other direction. And we're going to get the back side of the hinges. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to count out loud like I do. It just helps me keep track, because with the house full of kids and a wife that's always wanting you to do something, it helps you to keep track. Now we have that all taken care of. We're going to let that set and dry. It don't take but about 5-10 minutes. But one thing you do have to do after you glue everything into place, they'll be kind of stiff, so you got to come back and kind of exercise everything to loosen it up. That way it's not so hard on your servos. So you just kind of flex that around. And now we have a completed TT20 wing. All we have left now is our servos to put in our bay, our linkages, which that'll be on the next show when we put all the guts and everything in the airplane. And then we'll be ready to test fly that sucker. Okay, I'm going to set the wing aside for right now. I'm going to grab the fuselage.
Which is
I'm going to show you what I did yesterday.
I wasn't here.
We put our elevator and our rudder in position. Now, also, what I did on the elevator, just like an aileron, we used 4 different hinges, evenly spaced. I come in about 1/4 of an inch off of each side, put a hinge, and then evenly spaced 2 more to the inside. And we glued it we cut our slots using the same method. And of course, you want to flex everything. They're going to seem kind of tough at first, but as you flex them, the better they're going to wear. And then we have our rudder. Come down about 1/4 of an inch, put a hinge, 1 in the middle, and then on our PT20, the way it's designed, because we have a gap down here, we want to come up about 1/4 of an inch and put our bottom hinge. Hear that? That's just from the glue curing and setting up. So that's really that. On our next show, I'm going to complete this airplane, okay? Because we're actually at the part, it's all the little stuff in the end that can kill you. Well, I say it can kill you. It doesn't sound like much. We just got to mount the motor, put the servos and receivers in, and we're good to go. We're ready to go fly. But it can be very time consuming. So what we'll do, actually first, we'll put our landing gear on the airplane. We'll mount the motor. We'll mount our hatch. Okay? We'll insert the servo tray, and then we'll put servos in it, and then we'll put all our control linkages in it. That's just kind of the process. It's always a good idea to have your servos in place. That way you can put your control rods in, because we have to cut them, and it gives you a real good idea on where to cut everything. We're so close, but still got a lot of work to do. Like a buddy of mine that builds real airplanes, he says, I'm 90% done, but still got 90% to go. So I hope you paid attention. I hope you got the letter for our PT40 giveaway. Like I said, I'm going to make you work for it. I got a couple people out there that's been itching, wanting to get a hold of it. Well, we officially started this episode. If you missed it, watch it again. Remember what we're going to do at the end of the season. After I get all the letters out there, I'm going to have you email me, and the first person to hit my inbox with the correct word wins the PT40. Okay? Well, hey, that's it for this week from Big Sky Hobby Corner, and hope to see you again next week. Thanks again for watching.